Hello, I'd like to thank you all for coming to my presentation. My name is Mia Young, and for my senior project, I hosted 2 community concerts. My essential question was, how can I successfully organize a holiday concert and a smaller community concert to raise money for a music organization that targets individuals in developing countries? So a brief outline of what I'm going to talk about in this presentation is the reason why I chose this project, who I chose as my mentor, what I focused on for my research reports, the organization that I chose, the holiday concert, the community concert, and then my own personal reflection. So I chose this project because I have a lifelong passion for music, and it has been so beneficial in my life that I felt that I needed to share the joy of music with the people around me, and I felt that music has such a ability to foster community, so there was no better way to unify the Millis community than through musical events. And then also, as I'm a global scholar, I needed to adhere to the global requirement, and music has such a global presence, and the organization that I chose has such a large global impact, so I felt that adhered to that requirement perfectly. So for my mentor, I chose Mrs. Bartley because when I approached her last year with this idea, she was instantly interested and had so many good ideas to share with me on how to improve my project, and she always had such an open mind to my own ideas, and any problems, she would easily come up with a solution for them. She also, as she's the head of the drama club, she also has a lot of experience organizing events, especially in the auditorium, so I knew that she would know exactly everything I needed to know to get everything done. So briefly, for my research reports, I focused on the psychology behind marketing, the Playing for Change Foundation, which is the organization that I chose, what the benefits of music are, what music programs currently look like in developing countries, and then what music was popular in the 1960s. So for my organization, I chose the Playing for Change Foundation. I came upon it as I was researching different music organizations, and I was immediately awed by their vast global impact. They're able to provide access to free music and arts education for millions of youth across the globe, specifically in their programs in 26 countries and territories. At the moment, one of their biggest ones is in Nepal, where they're promoting women's rights and gender equality through music and dance. They really are able to utilize music by integrating it into culture and fighting against global issues, and they fight for gender equality, ending poverty, and emphasizing peace. So I started with the holiday concert in December. I decided on December 12th, and I began by booking the rooms. I booked the auditorium for the performance, the cafeteria for snacks afterwards, and those were provided by the baking club, and then the chorus room for rehearsals beforehand. And then once those were all solidified and I had reached out to all the people that needed to know, I then decided to begin advertising because I knew that this was a community-based concert, so I needed to get my advertisement out as soon as possible. So I decided to research the psychology behind marketing, where I learned a lot about making it very enticing and presenting an event as something that would be something you would not find anywhere else. So I included specific quotes like your opportunity to perform, or a fun night of musical performances, or make your donation to the Playing for Change Foundation to really form that connection and need to come to the event. And then I also included 2 QR codes. I had one to sign up to perform and then one to donate to the Playing for Change Foundation. And then once I had that out, I knew that I needed volunteers because none of this would have been possible on my own. So I created a Google Doc with a little different time frames, and I posted it on the Leo's Club Google Classroom and the Peer Leaders Google Classroom because those are audiences that have a lot of involvement in volunteer events. I then decided that I wanted to do a raffle to increase the amount of donations that I could get. So I received a couple different gift card donations from local businesses such as the Muffin House and Dunkin'. And then a friend of my mom's also created those gift bags you can see there. She generously donated them. They had gift cards and candy in them, so I was also able to raffle those off. And I would say that the raffle definitely increased the money I received a lot. And then, so the day of the event, I arrived about 2 hours early. There wasn't actually too much to set up as I thought there would be. I set up a table outside the auditorium, and it had the raffle tickets, posters with prices, and then the cash box, and there were a couple of volunteers there during the event. And then I also put some set lists up around the school and by the curtain that had directions on when to open and close the curtain, or what the order of all the performances. The only thing that I would have changed was the sound check, because I did receive some feedback that when people were singing and playing guitar, it was hard to hear the vocals. So I would have liked to have allotted more time for a sound check beforehand so that everyone could practice. And then lastly, another problem that arose was that a performer did not show up, and I did email them, but they never responded. So instead of panicking, I just notified everyone that the order would be shifted a bit, and everyone complied, and it all went smoothly. Then lastly, not too much thought went into my performance order. Mostly I wanted the band to go first, not only because they're very good, but also because they have a lot of equipment. So by having them go first, I could close the curtain and then have them remove the equipment while people were performing in front. For the actual execution of the concert, I was very proud of it. We had a lot of different performances, instrumental and vocal, of different holiday pieces. We had solos, duos, larger groups, and I think I was very impressed by all the talent that I saw. For myself personally, it was very enjoyable because I was the MC, so I got to interact with the audience and talk about all the amazing performers and the amazing impact of the Playing for Change Foundation. And I'm very proud to say we raised $633, which was far beyond anything I could have ever imagined, so for that I'm very happy. And then I've just received a lot of positive feedback. I know that the holidays can be very difficult for people sometimes, but I think that this was a very joyous experience that brought a lot of happiness and unified the Millis community. Then, as being that my holiday concert was in December, I knew that I wanted to continue my project throughout the rest of the year. So I decided to plan a community concert at the Council on Aging in March. So I reached out to them, and through a couple emails, they solidified a date for me. And once that was solidified, I knew that I needed to find music. I wanted to do music from the 1960s because I wanted to appeal to the nostalgia of the members of the Council on Aging. So I chose some songs such as a Beatles medley, Killing Me Softly, What a Wonderful World, not only because they were from the 1960s, but also because the chorus had previously learned those songs, and I didn't want to put too much pressure on them. And so once those songs were selected, once again I didn't want to put too much pressure on the chorus, so we mostly just rehearsed these songs during warm-ups and then spent the rest of class practicing for our other concerts. And then I wanted to make sure that the chorus was actually really involved in this event and created that emotional connection with the audience. So after talking with my mentor, I reminded them that they should imagine like they're performing for their grandparents so they could form that relationship with the Council on Aging. There wasn't a lot of planning once the chorus was prepared. I mostly got permission slips because we were leaving the school. And then I wanted to advertise this event because I felt like it could very easily slip under the radar. So I wrote a write-up and put a picture of the chorus beforehand in the newsletter. And then after the event, I also wrote up a reflection on the event and put pictures from the concert. At the actual execution of the community concert, once we arrived, there wasn't too much to set up. We had a computer with the recordings of the pieces, and then we did have a few handheld microphones for any soloists, but they had a lot of feedback, so I would have liked to have practiced with those more beforehand. And then for the order of performances, I had the chorus perform all together, all their pieces. And then once they were done, anyone who wanted to perform their pieces from the upcoming solo and ensemble concert could do that as well. We also had a couple of karaoke performances too, just to prolong the concert. I was so proud of the feedback. It was so positive. I was so happy every time I announced the title of a piece. The people in the audience, their faces would light up and they would whisper to someone and be like, oh, I remember this from this time. And so I was very happy to see them all singing along. And many people approached me with the desire to hear more from the chorus. One lady in particular said that her husband used to live in like an assisted living home, and they would go to the music events, but it was always old people performing for old people. So they're really happy to interact with the youth community, and they said they'd love to come to more chorus concerts in the future. So I was very happy to form this personal connection with the older generation of Millis that I'd yet to interact with, and I was just so happy that they were so happy as well. For my own personal impact and reflection, I'm just so proud of the community and global musical impacts that I left. Music, as I said, is so important to me, so I was so proud to be able to bring that to the Millis community and support global music as well. All the positive feedback was so beneficial to me to understand just how impactful music can be. And as I previously mentioned, the only thing I would change for both concerts is the sound system to ensure that it sounded a bit better, so I would have liked to rehearse with those more. Then I feel like I really do have a stronger connection with the Millis community, whether it be the older generation, the performers, anything like that. And I do really hope that this inspires other people to continue this project in the future. So many people have so much positive feedback, so I know that they would enjoy it in the future. And then just in general, music will always remain a part of my own life. And so I hope to continue it in the future and always have that positive impact in my life. For my connection to Vision of a Graduate, for critical thinking, I had to deal with a lot of problem solving with the lack of a performer, and then I also had to make really enticing advertisements so I could get the greatest turnout for both audiences. For character, I was the MC for both concerts, so I did have to be very personable and interactive with the audiences, and then also just talking with the older generation at the Council on Aging that I hadn't really interacted with before. For communication, obviously just coordinating two events requires a lot of communication with a lot of different people, and so sending out a lot of emails and problem solving if dates didn't line up or anything like that. And then for collaboration, both my concerts were community-based, so I did have to interact a lot with different performers and volunteers, and then specifically for the Council on Aging performance, working with the chorus to prepare them. Lastly, I would like to thank the music department, my mentor, Mrs. Bartley, all the performers and volunteers, the Mills Council on Aging, the high school chorus, all my families and friends, and the St. Dunstan's Choir. None of this would have been possible without their support and their musical talent, so I'm very grateful for everything they shared with me and how they all stepped up to help whenever it was needed. I'll take any questions, and that's when I'm excited as well.